You're listening to Captain John Doe, real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it.
Wow, it's early. This is our first time recording this early. It's before 8 o'clock.
Oh, you better wake up.
We have our coffee, and I suspect that there's some people driving to work right now, probably much earlier than 7:52 a.m. when we're recording.
Let's just stop for a second. So we came out here. It's early.
You're whispering too.
I know. Why am I whispering?
I don't know.
Anyways, we're on our patio right now in the mountains of Georgia because that's where we live.
That's a big word for Georgia. Mountains of Georgia.
Right. But
It's the foothills.
anyways, we got coffee. We're sitting out here. It's summer. It's sticky. The microphone is literally iced up when we walked outside. And then a whole family of deer just decided to join us on our Captain John Doe podcast day.
Yeah, we're on our patio recording because we have guests at our house right now that are being little sleepyheads still. They're still sleeping. And so we came outside to record this morning and we hear some rustling right behind us and we turn around and there's a huge doe and then two babies pop out of the bushes and then a buck. It was little mommy, daddy, and babies. And just like, wow, what a 180 from where we were living in Vegas.
Yeah. I'm watching him I'm so distracted from talking to you because there's literally just deer crawling up the side of the hill.
I am getting used to them, but you're not because you haven't been living here.
I have not. And there's a reason.
Well, hold on. We got an intro.
Okay.
Welcome to the Captain John Doe podcast, Doe heads.
Doe heads.
Yeah.
Doe heads.
Wait, we got to say hello before we get into it.
That was a great segue, though.
How? That was very abrupt.
Okay.
That was a
So let me
90-degree vector.
So guess what, doe heads? Because of your loyalty to this podcast, I'm going to share it first right here. It's something that you guys have all known.
Oh, you're not going to share it.
Are you baiting me right now?
A little.
What's going on? She's baiting you guys.
You won't really do it.
You think she's rolling her eyes and you won't say it. So let me just recap everything. I resigned from the FAA in March of 2025. That was the last time I ever did any air traffic stuff. Then I decided to be a CFI because of all of our job opportunities last year. We did that in Las Vegas. And I managed to gain my 1,500 hours in relatively
Ding, ding, ding.
quick time. Relatively quick time. And then sometime around April, I got a job offer from a regional airline.
You got the call.
I got the call. And then in May, I went to Dallas to do my ATP CTP. And
Well, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a atrocious ground course.
it is a true.
The ATP CTP course is a prerequisite for you to take your ATP written. So we'll break it down even further. Your ATP is your Airline Transport Pilot Certificate. It's the highest certificate you can hold in our country. That means that you are at airline pilot standards or professional pilot standards. So to take the written, to even get to your check ride opportunity, you have to take this CTP test. It's a long story of why it's in place. However, it is. You have to do several days of ground school. It's almost, I don't know, I think it was like 4 or 5 days of online ground school or in person. There's a bunch of places that offer the course. And then it ends with you flying a full motion simulator for a couple of days, which is meant to be an introduction to full motion sims and to turbines and jet life and all that. It's basically an intro to jets and jet flying. However, my takeaway from taking the CTP course, I only took it like 2 years ago, was it almost dissuades you from becoming a pilot because they go so much into accidents. And I know we were learn a lot from accidents, but they kind of don't even go that furthest down the rabbit hole. My takeaway, at least from my instructor, would be On April 10th, 1975, this crew and 170 people died because of this. Next slide.
It really is.
Wait, then they're like, next slide. On May 6th, 1999, this crew and everyone on board died because of this. And they never go into like the remedy and like what we learned from it. They're just like, died. And you're like, okay, that's enough for me. I think I'm going to quit now.
Yeah. No, for those of you that are about to take it, Mindy's right. Like the first half is all groundwork and it's not fun.
It's actually terrible.
Like, it's really bad. And then you do get to go do the fun part. Like you get to go into the sim for a couple sessions. I don't know. So anyways, back to my little monologue.
Sorry, sidetracked.
We moved across the country yet again. This time was more for me because I am in an East Coast based company and I went to Dallas, and as soon as I got back from Dallas, I went to training, and I've been there since June 1st. I was a June 1st baby, and as you guys know, Mindy bought a flight school, and she's been running it by herself without me, her husband, to even...
Well, see, that's not the part that's been bothering me. The whole intention was that I was buying this school on my own, and this was my career, and you have your career. What bothered me was that we got here, you dropped your bags, and you left to Charlotte the last 2.5 months. So what's been difficult has been getting my business up and running and purchasing a business and like learning that whole new life for me while moving into our home that we are supposedly sharing. By myself.
Listen, she's been saying this to me now every time I'm home, which
by myself, where we don't have friends or family here. So like, it's little things like the air conditioner went out and I have to leave work to let an HVAC guy in. I don't have a partner that we can share the responsibilities of our home with. And during my busiest chapter of my life ever, you're off during your busiest life chapter ever, but in another state. So just, man, and I unpacked the whole house by myself. Like, you literally dropped bags and left to Charlotte for 2.5 months.
So right now my parents are here and they asked me where, I don't know, a mop was. And I know that most men out there don't know where the vacuum cleaner mop is, but like I truly have no idea because I've not even been in this house. And you've been here for nearly 3 months now.
It's weird that you're here. What, last night was your second night here? Second or third night?
Since I've been done.
Yeah. Well, okay. So in the last 2.5 months, you maybe spent here 2 weeks cumulatively. You would come home for like 2 or 3 days at a time, go back to Charlotte. And so you have not actually moved in because your mom, when she was here, she said something about like our routine and where your stuff goes. I was like, I have no idea. Kevin's not moved in yet. I've been here for over 2 months. All my things have a place. I have my routine, and I'm going to have a big reality check when my husband moves back in with me because I don't have a place for him right now.
Wow. Guess what, baby? He's back.
Yeah.
Because I got that ticket.
Okay, so we'll finish this out with your huge congrats that you are officially a first officer at the airlines. You're an ATP rated jet pilot. Ooh. How does it feel to achieve your goal? I mean, this is what we've been working towards.
It's crazy. I mean, honestly, like the time frame it's nuts. Like, what is that, 14, 15 months since I resigned that I had a career and then now I'm an airline pilot. Like that's I couldn't have done it without the support system from you and so many other people. Like, that's insane. Like,
so,
insane.
Since it's all fresh, I think that there's a lot of our listeners that are working to achieve the same goal that you just reached.
Okay.
Tell us about how you got your airline job, especially in this market that's really difficult, and a brief overview of what the process is like, what you've been up to for the last 2.5 months.
Sure. All right. I'll try to keep this as tight and meaningful for you guys. As pointed as I possibly can be. Hopefully you guys are listening to this podcast. Join the cadet programs, period. Like, there's no excuse. I don't know how many times I'll look somebody in the eye and they'll be like, well, I heard this about that cadet program, or I heard this, or they won't let me in. I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay, the airlines are hiring like crazy. All the stuff you see online is crap.
You don't want to say fake news?
It's fake news. My airline, every 2 weeks, 35 kids are coming in the door. 35 every 2 weeks. I have 250 people underneath me already. I can't stress this enough. And guess what? They're all cadets. That's why you feel like no one's getting hired.
So, okay, when you sign up to be a cadet at any of these airlines, are you committed to working for that airline?
Oh, great question, man. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So what is the downfall of being in a cadet program?
Another great question, man. There is no downfall.
So if you achieve your hours and you're in a cadet program and you decide you don't want to work for that airline, or you decide you want to go charter or whatever, do you owe anyone any money?
No, unless you take money, which as of now, I don't know if money even exists.
So some cadet programs would give a sign-on bonus and you would owe that back if you left. However, you didn't even get offered that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if you took some money, then you would owe said money back. But other than that, you are not committed at even a little bit.
So if you were to be speaking to, and I believe that these are some of our listeners, some pilots, especially some instructors that want to be an airline pilot and they're not in a cadet program, what would you say to them?
Oh, what would I say, man? Join the cadet programs, all of them. What are you talking about? Let them tell you no. Like, who cares that you think that you have to be in a special flight school? Like, I applied to every single program, and guess what? I got in one, and that one offered me a job.
That one opened the door.
Oh, crazy. Like,
Yep.
Crazy. I'm not special.
Well, no, you're not. Well, you are.
I know.
But I will just further this example to all of you that since we've been at the flight school, Kevin has shown his face about 3.5 times, and you've quickly loved turning into almost like our school mentor. You love talking to the instructors because you were just in their shoes. You're about 10 years their elder. So you have some experience under your belt of life, and you've really taken some of these instructors under your wing of giving them advice and mentorship and all that. And I seen you tell them to all be cadets, and one of our instructors, she was already in the cadet program, but I'm just going to share success stories, right? That's beyond Kevin Lindheim, the, special boy of the internet. So she was in the cadet program. She is off at your same regional airline. And then 2 of our other instructors are in your cadet program at your specific airline.
They got to do their HR interview. And they have 900 hours right now.
Yep. He just did his HR interview last week, and he's at 800 or 900 hours. And then his technical interview, which means like that's the final boss, is next month.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to understand this, like, because I knew this was the reality, even in Vegas. And I talked to everybody. And I mean, I woke up this morning to a text from one of my buddies in Vegas. Like, he's hoping I can put a good word into him to the recruiters. And it's like, there's nothing I can do because they hire cadets. I mean, I think, so I'll be honest, there's 35 people in my class, and I think 4-ish were not cadets. And the 4 that were not cadets, 2 of them were previous cadets.
Okay.
Like, they were American, or I said it already.
Tell me this real quick while we're on the subject of earning an airline pilot job. We had someone come through our school yesterday who's a commercial pilot, and our chief pilot was trying to convince him to become a flight instructor. It's a student we really love that we would love to have on our team one day. He's like, get your flight instructor license. Like, what are you waiting for? And the long story short is this individual is hoping to skip being an instructor and earn his hours in a different way to become an airline pilot, achieve his goals. How many people in your class were not instructors in your airline pilot class?
I don't know if there was like any that were not instructors. Like even the ones that were not cadets that were like in a 135 probably were instructors. Like,
so it would be really difficult to bypass it. And so do you remember you and I having this conversation, Kevin, when you got your commercial?
yeah, I do.
You did think you were special, and I did too. And we were hoping that with our vast connections through the industry, where me and you both have been working professionally in aviation the last 10 years, we have so many connections, and not airline connections, but we have actual like Part 91, 135 connections. You earn your commercial, and we put out feelers to every single person we know trying to get you an actual flying job to skip being an instructor because, of course, you were later in life. You wanted a better paycheck. You wanted a better lifestyle, and you wanted to skip being an instructor. And obviously, that didn't happen.
Right. It did not. Here's the thing. We can sit here and I think Mindy and I will agree with you guys who are screaming at your podcast players saying being a CFI doesn't give you good experience. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, do you want an airline job? If you want an airline job, you need to be a cadet and you need to be an instructor.
And make it good experience. You don't have to just teach in your local pattern.
Right.
You, especially if you're Part 61, get creative. And we'll go into that another time. Yeah. But the experience you earned, and you were at a unique school in Las Vegas, was beyond my expectations.
Yeah, I mean, I did not do your normal stuff. I went to my, like on my eval or whatever, I have 900 hours across country as a CFI.
Right.
That's very abnormal. I was asked about that on my evaluation.
You weren't even teaching your first steep turn until you were like 2 months into your job.
I can't even tell you how many times I even did that because it was so few.
You guys were doing so much owner-flown, owner aircraft services.
And Air Force guys that did not want to do steep turns.
Yeah.
But this is a good point. This is not exactly what I had on topic today, but like I see so many things online, and when people go and ask this question, obviously everything about, you know, the type of experience you get matters. And if you hate teaching, it matters. You shouldn't be teaching somebody, but like at the same time,
learn to love it.
Right. I was just about to say that. Like that's an insane thing to say to yourself, that like I hate teaching. Like, first of all, when have you ever taught before? Most of you guys out there have never taught.
Right.
Like that's a weird thing to say. And like, what are your other options?
But also it allows you to truly master your craft. I will say the instructors sometimes blow me away with their knowledge, and I'm like, man, I haven't thought about that topic in a long time.
It makes sense. It makes sense after going through this program. This program was so freaking long. Like,
what program?
My type school.
Oh.
It was 2.5, almost 3 months long. And
I do want to talk about that before we move on. Go ahead.
But like being a CFI really, especially for a regional airline, sets you up for success, because like you're so in the books already that like it allows this process of the studying process. Like,
I want you to speak on just lightly how important it was for you to have glass and autopilot experience prior to going to the airlines.
Unbelievably important. If you are somebody out there that's not flying with automation, go do it before you go to school. If you have a class date, I mean, I'm not saying you need to rent a Cirrus, but go rent a Cirrus. Go rent something that has like pretty advanced equipment, because what I noticed from my class, most people struggled pretty hard that didn't have autopilot or flight director or any sort of glass experience. Doesn't mean they didn't make it. They just had
a real tough time.
And they had to do.
I bet some of them did do wash out though, that don't have that background.
That's something that's weird too. Is like, I don't know. We, after a certain point, all of our classmates were all really close, but there's a certain point where we kind of start separating, and I don't know who's around or not. I just know who's around.
Well, like we're recording in the thick of it. So you were one of the first wave of check rides to get done. So there's still a lot of your class that has not taken their check ride yet or is taking it like as we speak.
But to your point right there, it seems like the number 1 and 2 problems is autopilot, flight director, and then comms. Right, so ATC comms. Everything else, for the most part, we're all on the same plane.
That really aligns with how I've always given advice on the private side. So I've been to type school twice for 2 different jets. And people always ask me, how do I set myself up for success going to type school? And the number one thing I always suggest is you need to be the most instrument proficient you've ever been in your life before you step into that box.
100%. They do not spend a single second.
They're not going to teach you instrument.
On any sort of teaching you flying.
They will not teach you how to read an approach plate.
Zero. That is a good point that I guess I never even was thinking about that. To be fair, there's no teaching when you go into the sim. At all. There's no teaching being done. That's where the frickin' 2 months leading up happens.
Right.
But there is zero teaching when it comes to autopilot usage and instrument stuff, period. You're a ATP rated pilot. Their expectation is you need to learn the systems of this jet. You need to learn your flows and call outs. And
it's a lot of self-study, even at that.
Yes.
Okay, so I found this whole process quite fascinating because I am an expert of the private general aviation side of things. And I have a lot of airline pilot friends, but obviously never one that was living or not living in my house. So I found the process fascinating because it's so different from my experience. So in my experience, to earn my ATP and my jet type rating, I went off to flight safety for 2.5 weeks. I would show up.
Said 2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks, not months, weeks. And I would drown in a classroom for 8 days or whatever. And then we would roll into sims. And then we'd have a very traditional check ride where I'd show up on check ride day. We'd sit down, we'd do an oral, and then we would brief the flight and we would go do a flight. And it was just like you earning your private pilot, but on steroids, right? The same process. And it all happens in 2.5 weeks. And then you're off to the races and you're out with your certificate. Watching you go through this in 2.5 months, I would call you every day like, what are you doing? Because why is this taking 2.5 months? Are you actually at school? Are you off playing golf somewhere? What's happening?
I didn't even bring my golf clubs.
I don't believe you.
The first time I did.
Because I don't understand how they can fill 2.5 months of your time.
Like I said, I definitely think that there are some parts that are a little drawn out. But so airlines.
Okay, so hold on. You came. You did your CTP, you took your ATP written before showing up.
Right.
So we got to Atlanta, you dropped your bags, you went to Charlotte. What happened?
Then you go and...
Wait, was I allowed to say that?
You already said it now 8 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry.
8 freaking times.
Were you not wanting to say that?
We're not... It doesn't matter.
You should have told me. I didn't even realize.
It doesn't matter.
It's just our life. People are going to know where you are.
Yeah. It doesn't
inevitably.
Matter. So you go to what's called in-dock. This is the same for all airlines. Our in-dock lasted a week.
What is in-dock? I don't even know.
So indoctrination into the company.
Say that.
Indoctrination.
Can you spell that?
No. So in-dock is basically learning the company policies, and on top of that was the POH. So
did you guys hold hands and all have icebreakers and say everyone is loved and welcome?
It actually
and
was
this
really
is the YMCA. You all get a trophy.
I don't know what I expected, but day one was really nice. They let us go to headquarters, and the boss talked to us, like the CEO.
Hello.
And they gave us breakfast and lunch. And then
this is what I'm saying. You might as well have been golfing. I'm here struggling to breathe in our new home, and you're off at a catered lunch.
And breakfast. Anyways, so then after day one, because that was truly just like a hey, then the next couple of days, we basically heard from every department. So we weren't really doing any ground knowledge for, I'd say, at least the first 3+ days I was there. And then they started going over POH and the FOM, which is our operating manual. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of that week, or however many days, it was, I think, well, actually, we had the weekend. So we were there for like 9 days for NDOC. And then we had to take a test on, limitations and memory items and the operating.
You did that
manual.
before your self-study of systems?
Right.
Okay.
That was
I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's
okay.
week one. So like every airline from what you see online always says like you need to know your limitations and memory items cold. That's because the first week you're going to be tested on it.
Okay.
Same with everything.
So then you got through that. Then what?
And then we did systems online studying. So that was weird. So then they sent me home. So I was home, but like I was not home.
For a week.
That was probably more frustrating for you than anything.
Yeah, because you were useless.
I was useless, but I go to school, right? Like, but I was useless. I mean, it's like an 8-hour plus self-study, and then we have a check-in. So pretty much 8 to 4, I was
doing modules.
Bottle.
Right?
Yeah. Learning about my airplane.
So all systems of your plane, and then at the end of that, you
took a test.
You took a test.
I was kind of a
online.
little scared about because it was an online test, and I was learning this by myself with really no instructor, and it was not easy.
All right. So now we've ate up about 2.5 weeks. Then what?
Probably more than that.
3?
Probably like because
3.5?
Was
so probably 3.5 weeks.
NDOC was 9 days.
Good God.
And then we had a travel day and then start. So, and then systems was a week. So yeah, we're at almost 3 weeks.
Okay. So now all you've done is NDOC and one systems online
well,
test.
we've taken 3 tests now, to be fair. In 3
What's the
weeks.
third one?
The POH, the FOM, and systems.
Okay.
3.
And now you go back to in-person training and you do what?
So now we're in basically the flight trainer. I don't know what airlines call them. We call them SIPs, but it's basically an FTD. Ours is really...
It's a very basic simulator.
It's not basic at all. I think it's like...
It's just not full motion.
It's just not full motion. It's your normal...
Is it like what we have at our school?
No, it's way more advanced, I feel like.
Okay.
But it's not legal to log the time, so it's really weird.
So it's not more advanced.
But it's, I don't know, like people...
Okay, it's a simulator.
Yeah.
And that you and your classmates can work on your own without an instructor?
No, this part of training is with an instructor.
Okay.
There is one you can do for practice, but so the whole point of this is to get down your call outs and flows, and I think this is where if you need to learn how to use the automation, you do it. So that was 9 sessions with an evaluation at the end of it. So that was
Okay.
too. And then after that, we went home for like a day or two and then came back for our oral portion of the check ride.
This is what really got me. That they broke up your check ride into let's learn all the ground, and then we're going to take your oral check ride, and then we're going to put you in sims for a couple weeks, and you'll take just your flight check ride. The fact that you were able to get babied like that blows my mind, because big girl, big boy pilots normally go to check ride. You take it all on the same day, and it's stressful as hell.
Listen, listeners out there, Mindy doesn't know that AQP exists, and she just said big boy and big girl. Most pilots do what I did. Not most pilots do what Schmin did.
Well, that sounds a hell of a lot easier, that you learn all the ground and they're like, all right, while it's all fresh in your head, let's take your oral check ride. And then you get to check mark that. And then now Mr. Big Boy Pilot. Now let's baby you through all these simulator sessions, and then we'll just take your flight portion, and we won't ask you one singular ground question again.
It was honestly the
amazing.
best. Like, my buddy called me and he's like, "What did you think about the AQP program?" And I'm like, it was really, really nice.
AQP means like a progressive check, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it means.
Well, you're the one throwing it around. Well, I'm just mean like, what does it mean?
Yeah, progressive. Yeah,
not what does it stand for.
But yeah, doing your oral. I mean, I did my oral
4 weeks ago.
July 5th or and a month. Yeah,
over a month ago, you did your oral.
Yeah. So, anyways, did that. Came home, and this was the longest break I had. So now I was waiting for my sim schedule, which was maybe a week.
Maybe a week, because you were hoping that you'd have off longer so you could go to Oshkosh.
Right. And
then you got scheduled right at the start of Oshkosh, and you were very upset.
So then we had Sims. Sims schedule, they do a really great job. I will say, honestly, this part of the training felt really dialed in. They gave us plenty of Sims, and then you take a maneuvers validation, which is a separate check ride.
So ridiculous.
First, which is amazing. So these are all your V1 cuts, and these are your engine failure stuff. So it was truly like you're focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's the airplane braking. And then we had a couple days off, and then we go back for our LOE, which is basically your line orientation. So all the stuff we did a month ago in the fake sim, now we're going to do in the real sim, and it's
like real flights with some malfunctions.
I wouldn't say some. It was a billion malfunctions, but there are real flights.
So airline pilots always walking around with their chest out saying like, well, we got to take 6 tests to be an airline pilot.
Do.
I was like, well, that's adorable. But on our private side, we take those same tests wrapped up into one mega test, which makes it much freaking harder.
Right. It's a really nice thing that like my type ride, I know that I'm not going to have a V1 cut. Now the engine might fail in flight, but it ain't failing on the go around, they're not like.
Well, your previous check ride it did,
yes,
but it's
times.
Broken out into these phases.
Right.
Anyway.
So overall experience, I would say the only thing is it was a little drawn out in the beginning. At the end, I think everything was appropriate.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up, but I think people are going to be really intrigued about your experience because I personally have never heard this broken down into such detail. I have always known that airline pilots go to school for several weeks, several months, take some tests and leave, but I've never really known what the process looks like. So I have found it all really fascinating.
You take 6 tests on 6 different days. It's amazing.
Yeah, you study for a test, take it, study for a test, take it, study for a test, take it.
And you have to pass each segment to get to the final chapter.
And yeah, they will give you retraining, right? I've heard.
Yeah, I mean...
You smashed through yours. Yeah, not that you would know.
Well, so many people ask this question.
You were a star child.
But anyways, many people ask, like, how does it work? Because it's not uncommon that you struggle. Like, that's a normal thing. And most airlines that I can think of, is particularly mine, is paying you to be there. They're paying for your hotel and your food. So they are very, very motivated for you to pass. So they're going to do everything in their power to get you through. Okay. Remember that.
So we told people how to get an airline job. We told people how to show up for their airline job. Now, I guess the last piece of advice, what advice would you give someone that's in the middle of their airline training? Maybe they are struggling, like you just said. What's your tips for success of getting through this on your first go and not having any trouble?
Don't sit in your hotel room. Like, make sure you're out with your group. Like, you have to. I mean, number one, your own personal thoughts against you are going to creep in, and you need that social interaction. Like, you guys know me. You've been following Mindy's page forever. Like, I am a social butterfly. I sat in the lobby every single day, and whoever I could talk to, I talked to. And then every single day, it's called the paper tiger room. Every airline has it. They might call it different. It's a training room. went there every single day for basically 3 months straight for at least 2 to 3 hours every day, every single day. And it didn't matter what was going on there because there was learning occurring. Even if I was yapping my mouth to whoever would listen, we were still talking about
I do have one
training.
more question. A lot of your classmates, of course, were much younger than you,
Right.
that they decided in college they want to be an airline pilot. They got their instructor license. They got 1,500. They came to the airlines. But there were a few of you in your 30s like you that are, quote, older in your career.
Yeah, there were
So-
some older guys too.
Okay, so the younger ones, they may or may not be married. Most of them are single. They don't have a lot going on at home. They might not even have a home. They're like, I'm living on my buddy's couch right now. But for the individuals like yourself who have a wife or a family or kids or a husband and have a home life that is really eager for them to get back and is maybe struggling without them there, as I was, what advice do you give to those students that are feeling the pressure of home life while they're away? How did you manage that?
I don't think that there's a world where you're able to ignore it, because there's a lot of my classmates that are married and a lot have kids, and that's a big struggle. So you have to have those expectations. I'm fortunate that my wife has gone through training and is a pilot, and you were busy. So like in that regard, it made it more understanding, but it didn't make it easier.
Right.
So like I don't really have advice that is
It's just
probably
gonna be
useful, because there's no hiding around the fact that if you have a family and kids, you're basically giving up on being present, especially with the times you're doing training. Like, I mean, you never know. You could be at 4 a.m. or
Right.
2 a.m.
Well, I think the advice, if I were to say to anyone that's going to go to school that does have, a family life at home that they're leaving behind for 2.5 months, is to just try to set those expectations with your family before you go. Because luckily, like to your point, I did understand and I didn't bother you all day. I would wait for you to call me when you were free, and then I would make myself free to have 5 minutes of conversation with you. But I would just tell your family when you leave, hey, this is going to be a tough 2.5 months.
Right.
Let's bring the mother-in-law in. Let's bring the mother in. Let's bring any support system of our village into our life during these 2.5 months. That way, you, as your airline pilot student, can go fully immerse without guilt and without pressure, because that's what you need to get through this successfully, and knowing that your family at home is going to be taken care of. So if you have a partner at home that thinks they can handle it, that's awesome. Just tell them, like, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard for you to even call to vent to me, to tell me about Jimmy getting a fight at school. I'm not going to be able to take on that. So you're going to need to find your other outlets during these 2.5 months of venting and problem solving and all those things, because I can't mentally take that on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to decide what's best for your family. I'd like to make the argument that this career is probably worth 2.5 months of struggle. Just saying. But there's not great advice. Just be communicative. And when you do talk to your partner or your kids, like, try to avoid
Keep it
talking
light.
about work, because
Keep it light.
they want to know, about what's going on with your life outside of school.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed leaning into hearing what it's truly like to achieve your goal of becoming an airline pilot. I can't believe that you're sitting here as an ATP rated jet
Right.
pilot. I am infinitely proud of you and cannot believe that you woke up one day saying, I want to be a professional pilot, and that you made it happen. I have so much respect for you and for people that say they want to do something and freaking do it. Like, let's stop talking about it. Let's make shit happen. I'm so attracted towards people that make shit happen, and you did that, and I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you. And I mean, it doesn't even need to be said, but you are the driving force in the support system, because this was an enormous, and I can't even stress how enormous this change was.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
both of us.
going from a level 12 air traffic controller to a CFI, and now I'm an airline pilot. And this did not take very long.
You freaking did it. You freaking did it. Well, as always, head to our website, CaptainJohnDoe.com, and submit your aviation story to our show. It is fully anonymous and is exactly what we are about to read finally right here. Sorry, we got a little long-winded today, but we had a lot to share. Remember, you can submit an aviation story about anything, or you can even ask us for advice. Follow us on social media, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Leave us a review and a rating because that is so helpful for our show. Kevin, do we have a review today?
We do. Mr. Tubbs said, loving this show, 5 stars only. Everyone knows about Murphy's Law. Well, Murphy seems to have a particular interest in my friend Steve. Every time I see him, he shares an amazing story about fate has gotten him yet again. These stories leave me shocked, awed, double over with laughter, or any combination of the above. This podcast is getting to hang out with Steve every week if Steve was a pilot. I don't get to see Steve as often as I'd like anymore, but I think about him every Wednesday. Do yourself a favor and check this one out. You will not be sorry.
Well, I want to meet Steve.
That's a really nice compliment.
Remember that we are doing merch drawings every month through the end of the year. So there's only a couple more that we're giving out. I can't believe we're already in August. One winner is selected on the last Wednesday of every month. You can enter for free by following us on Instagram and engage with our giveaway posts. That way your comment is entered. Or you can leave us a podcast review just like Kevin just read. Send us a DM after you complete it, and it will be an extra entry. If you head to our website, CaptainJohnDoe.com, the full rules will be linked there or in our Instagram bio. Kevin.
All right.
Do you have a story?
I have a story. Let's get into what you guys tune in for, because I was yapping too much.
You keep whispering. You need to wake up. It's now 8:33. Wake the hell up, Kevin. You have been whispering this whole time.
So, as you guys know, I go in order on the submissions. We actually have a submitter who this is their second story I'm getting.
Second offense.
So whoever you are, we love you. Hopefully you win a shirt. So this is my second submission. My first one was more entertaining than this one, and we almost pissed ourselves listening to Mindy and Kevin tell mine and my wife's story. That's right. There should tell you which story it is. I remember which one this is.
Yeah, it was the husband and wife throwing up in the plane. That was hilarious. That's one of the best stories we've read on the podcast.
This story is more educational than just plain funny. When we still lived back east in Virginia, I was in a partnership with a buddy in a 1987 Mooney J model. It was a sweet plane. I miss flying it. However, my RV6 is more fun. We left Virginia, headed to the Bahamas. It was yet another trip for my birthday. The 6 days we spent island hopping was great and uneventful. It was a great trip. On the way back to the U.S., we were scheduled to land at Fort Lauderdale, but had to divert to Bimini because of a huge line of storms. Typical June weather in Florida, shocker. Landed, as we were parking the plane, it started raining like I'd not seen in a very long time. It was like someone opened a faucet and it was coming down on us. We waited for about an hour in the customs office, and when someone landed and said Fort Lauderdale was blue skies, we ran to the plane, buckled in, and rolled. Yes, I pre-flighted and used checklists. We get it, buddy. We do YouTube. Everything was done. I was told when we first landed in Bimini on the first day of our trip that they had just installed the AWOS and it was working, but to double check the info. When I entered the altimeter setting, I did notice that my altimeter showed a couple hundred feet of altitude. I'm on an island in the Bahamas at sea level. I figured it was an error on the AWOS, and I just set the altimeter to 0, sea level, and proceeded to back taxi runway 10. I called flight service, activated the flight plan, and called on the roll. As we sped up, I was doing my airspeed checks and noticed it went up pretty quick to 60 knots. Weird. We never get to speed up that quick.
Do you know what's happening, Mr. Instructor?
I'm not going to talk about I'm reading the story.
I just want to know. I don't want you to explain. I just want to know.
Yes.
Okay.
My eyesight kept coming back to the airspeed, and right before I was ready to pull back, it hit me. Airspeed indicator is stuck. I immediately aborted takeoff. It was my first real abort takeoff ever. Slowed down and taxied off the runway with no issues, however. My airspeed was still at 60 knots. I parked and began troubleshooting. I am a mechanic and always have an emergency toolkit with me, more than enough tools to get most job done on the road. Inspected everything but nothing. Finally, I took the glare shield off and cracked the static hose behind the airspeed indicator. Speed went to 0. I immediately went to the tail cone where the static ports are, popped an access panel, and poked my head in to see the static lines. In the Mooney, the way the static lines are routed there are always some dips. And guess what was in these dips? Nothing but water. I blew the lines dry, put everything back together, and did a high-speed taxi on the runway. Airspeed was indicating as it should. We reopened the flight plan and took off with no issues, landing in FXC like a boss, spreading butter all over that runway, and decided to stay the night before we headed back to Virginia that next day. So what happened was that there was still some negative pressure in the lines as it started raining hard, and as water dripped on the static ports, some of it got sucked in. Always be ready to abort a takeoff if something is not correct before you pull back on that yoke. Practice, practice, practice.
Great job.
This is one of those things that, like, especially in the piston world, rejecting a takeoff is so uncommon. It's not. It
really is.
It's not practiced. Like, it's not, like, it's talked about for sure, but, like, it is not practiced, especially what I just went through. I mean, all we did was reject takeoffs. Like, it's such a common thing now, but, like, for you to recognize that also, let's not compound where you were in the islands in Bimini. You're about to go 50 miles over water.
Yeah.
Your airspeed indicator is out, and it sounds like there's probably some IFR weather potentially that you have to encounter. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is the first time this happened with us was in our little Cub Crafter in Dreamsicle. And I remember this because you were flying. I was still a baby pilot at most. I think it was
You weren't even a student pilot. Yeah.
I remember you were rolling down and there's no airspeed indication. And, you know, you knew exactly what happened. Like, a little bug got into the pitot tube. And, you know, in our Cub, it was VFR weather. It was perfectly fine. But, like, knowledge of what causes that is what allowed this listener to reject a takeoff.
I guess so. I mean, it doesn't matter how it happened. You just have to be able to read your instruments and make a good decision.
But he knew, like, this showing 60 knots is not okay.
Yeah.
Like, not okay. The only time I think that you'll see something erroneous with the airspeed indicators if you got a lot of wind.
I have two comments. One is a small critique in hindsight's, what do they say, 2020? I almost said 50-50. 50-50. Hindsight's 2020. For me, even when I'm going on a VFR flight, I'm doing those IFR checks.
Right.
So I don't want to say I would have caught it on the taxi, but I probably would have caught it on the taxi.
Sure. That is a good point, because I didn't...
You didn't catch it too late. I'm not poo-pooing on who wrote this in, but for me, being in the professional pilot world, even a simple VFR flight, I'm doing my turns on the taxiway, watching the turn coordinator on the outside of the turn. I'm checking my airspeed. I'm looking at my altimeter. I do those, quote, IFR instrument checks, even when I'm taxiing out for a VFR flight, for this exact reason, because I don't want to find out on the roll, right?
Right. Now, that's a good point. And, like, I could see, though, where the confusion came in, because he saw his altimeter was off, and then he reset it to sea level. So in his head, he knew that the AWAS was new. It could be unreliable. So, like, there's a lot of dominoes that are happening.
Oh, yeah.
Where,
No, that was justified. I get it.
Seeing is, like, real, not that his static system is the problem. Like, that is a good one.
No, that's a great, because that preliminary information really guided the ship on him missing the airspeed indicator.
We would have done the same thing, like, with the altimeter, but then now is my airspeed reading something wonky? Now we're looking at double whammy, and I'd like to believe, like you said, that we would hopefully catch that. But either way, you caught this before you pulled back on that yoke, which is
my
awesome.
only other comment is, man, I wish I was a mechanic. I wish that when I was back in college that I took the time to be like, you know what? What's another 2 years of school? I might get it done. I think that is so freaking cool that you're in the Bahamas with your own toolkit and we're able to get yourself up and running and out of there. I would have been a sitting potato.
Potato.
Even if I knew exactly what was wrong, I wouldn't have the tools with me. I wouldn't have the know-how. I wouldn't be legally able to do it, which just frustrates me because I am a DIY type of gal. I love to do everything myself, whether it's renovating the flight school, renovating our house. I love to learn things. I love to work with my hands, and it pisses me off that I'm not a mechanic and that I become a sitting duck having to rely on someone else, especially in a place like the Bahamas, to do such a simple thing for me. It infuriates me.
Sounds like another task that Schmin's going to take on.
Well, why are you not a mechanic? That would be real helpful in my life.
You're right. Let's just add that too. Well, thanks for submitting another story. Keep them coming because
I love it.
I love the way you write too. Like it's how my brain works. You spelled should SHUD. Just how I would.
Terrible.
All right, man. What do you got?
Okay. I have 2 medical emergencies for you. First, my wife's son and daughter were on a flight to Kauai.
Ooh, Hawaii.
Did I say that right?
I think so.
Hawaii.
Kauai.
It was Father's Day, and my son had upgraded me to a first class as a Father's Day present.
Gosh.
The rest of my family sat about 6 rows behind me. About 1 hour into the flight from LAX, I heard a scream come from about 4 rows back. The flight attendants called for any medical personnel. I walked back and found a midlife gentleman slumped over in his seat and his hysterical 18-year-old daughter next to him. I stimulated the gentleman awake and did a quick assessment, including the pulse oximeter I always carry with me on flights. Turns out he had taken a few edibles prior to the flight, but didn't want his daughter to know. The flight attendants had me in contact with the MedAir, the in-flight medical emergency physician. He wanted an update on the patient and whether we should return to LAX. One look at my wife told me the answer. If we returned to LAX, by the time we got to Kauai, the Costco would be closed and our vacation would be a mess. Good thing the man was stable and just enjoying the benefit of his edibles. No reason to turn back. We made it to Hawaii, and by that time, the patient was fully awake and normal. He was met by paramedics at the scene and released, and we made it to Costco before they closed for the day. A win-win. That's funny. I feel like too many people are taking edibles and whatever to the 10th degree before they get on flights because they're so stressed. We've talked about this before.
It's a great time to test out how your body's going to react in a metal pressurized tube.
A wonderful time. There's no better time, especially if you've never taken edibles. Why don't you just go pop a few before you get on your airline flight?
Great time. Great time. Oh, my God.
I feel like people overdo it. Quote, preparing for their flight. Before they even have nerves, they are trying to what's the word for like unstimulate their body?
I don't know.
They're trying to mellow themselves out before they're even stressed.
Listen,
they're taking
we've talked about
Xanax.
this so many times about how people turn into just like robotic messes.
Animals.
Yeah, when they walk through TSA, I get it. We're not going to be here preaching don't take edibles, but maybe don't take edibles if you don't know
Your limit.
your limit.
And also, your body's going to react at altitude, I'm sure, a bit different. Just like alcohol does. Most people, they can take back 6 cocktails and feel fine, but 2 on the airplane and you're drunk.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Take that into account.
Yeah. I'm not a doctor.
Do you think that his daughter ever found out?
It seems like it. I mean, obviously, this guy figured out he was on edibles, so I'd assume his daughter heard that.
Also, it's always weird for me to hear about people doing like drugs or drinking and stuff around other people that they don't want to know that they're on drugs or drinking. Like, what a strange thing for you to try to get high by yourself, first of all, and then not try to hide it from the people around you. I just don't understand.
I don't know. We are not experts in this realm, so
I know. That's why I'm talking about it. That's the whole point.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It is a good thing.
Like weird to like take an edible around your family and try to hide it from them and be just experiencing your own highness by yourself and in secret. And it's just so strange. It's so strange. So strange to me. Anyway, I digress. Okay. Back to the story. The second episode was on a flight from Detroit to LAX. Okay, there's a lot of LAX flights that are messed up.
Right.
It was a morning departure about 9:30 a.m. About 1 hour into the flight attendants asked for a medical personnel. I rang my call button and the flight attendant took me to first class. Yes, I was in coach. Oh. A middle-aged woman and her 20-year-old son were sitting there. She was mentally out of control, speaking loudly in gibberish, rocking back and forth. A quick history from her son revealed that she was an insulin-dependent diabetic who had caught an earlier connecting flight and not had anything to eat, yet had still taken her insulin. The flight attendant brought the in-flight medical kit, but it did not have a glucometer. Glucose reader. Well, how do you say that?
Glucometer?
Glucometer. God, I was not destined to be a doctor. Thank God I dropped out of that. Fortunately, one of the other passengers in first class had one, and we checked her blood glucose. It was about 40, so that's very low. We emptied packets of sugar into orange juice and had her drink it. She eventually got better after about 2 hours of me forcing her to power down candy and this augmented orange juice. Her blood glucose finally reached about 85 and she began acting normal again. I have no idea how much insulin she must have taken that morning, but it must have been a lot. By the time we landed, she was fine, and the paramedics did a blood glucose reading of a little over 100. Which each of these 2 episodes, the flight crew was amazing. I cannot say good enough things about their professionalism and willingness to assist.
You know what the overlying theme of these 2 stories are is that, I feel like when you book a flight, if you're a licensed professional in the system, there should be a tag on your boarding pass. That way the flight attendants know immediately who the doctors are.
That's an interesting concept, because I feel like not everyone is like this submitter who's willing to help, and that there are a lot of medical professionals, despite the oath that they take, that would sit there and not want to help.
Okay, so
but devil's advocate, if you were to step in a situation like that as a medical professional, and we could probably do a quick Google and find out if you were to treat that person improperly because you're working in an active emergency, are you protected or are you not?
I would assume that because of all of the liability that goes in with like that door closing when you get on the airplane, that the airline is not responsible for anything that happens, that would probably remain.
No, I mean for the individual giving the care.
I get it. Like, but
personally,
when you buy a ticket, it basically says on that ticket, the airline's not liable for anything. And I would assume that would extend in an emergency situation. That's a good question, though. I don't know. I'm sure that there's some loopholes in the laws here and there, but I mean, you never know.
Like, is the doctor, if they treat the person improperly just because they're trying to help an emergency, are they going to get sued by that person's family of malpractice?
I would say
it's America.
Always that chance.
They're going to get sued.
Okay.
So I'm wondering how many medical professionals don't want to raise their hand because they're worried about if they help, what are the implications if something goes south?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good point. I would say, okay, instead of you placing that you're a medical professional, there is a opt-in release of liability waiver that protects that individual. Because I do think this happens so much. When I was a controller, medical emergencies happened nearly every single day. And the idea that there's a doctor who says, hey, if something goes wrong, I'm willing to help as long as I'm released liability, I think more medical professionals would be like, yeah, sign me up. Like, they're not going to let somebody die.
However, again, it would be on the passengers to opt in, not for the medical professionals. It would be for the passenger to say, if I were to start to croak out here, do I give permission for someone it's not their specialty and we're in this extreme circumstance? Do I want that care or not?
Do you have the same liability when you go to the emergency room? Do they ask you when you're knocked out unconscious?
Yes, because you chose to go to that facility.
Well, what if I pass out right now?
And those doctors are specialized in emergency medicine.
I don't know the answer.
But if you were to croak out on the side of the road and a nurse was going by and happened to notice you on the side of the road and was helping, and that's not her specialty, but she has background in it, and she treats you improperly, you'd be like, I wouldn't have wanted that treatment.
We need to consult our lawyer on this. Because honestly, I have no idea. Because you're making pretty valid arguments, and then I'm using the argument that, like, I'd like to think people are inherently good, which we know.
Yes, but accidents happen, and then the families are going to hire a lawyer to sue the doctor that was so gracious on the flight to try to help at least. And if things didn't go the right way, is the family going to sue that doctor who was just trying to help?
There's got to be something in place, because that med air that this individual was talking about is a real thing. So like that's a resource, but I don't know that it's a protection. I don't know, because there has to be some sort of protection for that doctor, right? That is giving advice because if there's no medical professional on board, then
they're walking the flight attendants through it.
Are doing it. So now you have, quote unquote, not professionals in the trade providing a service on somebody that's sick or something.
I feel like we need a follow-up conversation about this once we do some research, because now I'm very intrigued about this, because you're right. This happens all the time where they say, is there a medical professional on board? And you know what I always notice? I always notice there's like one or two people that immediately raise their hand, and this is not a jab, but usually it's like a nurse or an EMT or something, like whatever. You can tell they're younger and they're willing to help and assist. And then once the situation continues and we're 30 minutes into the medical emergency or whatever, then I always see the older, crustier, more wisdomed out doctor that's clearly like an esteemed doctor finally get up and be like, fuck, I guess I gotta go tend to this. Like, it just seems like they waited out longer. Not actual professionals, they all are, but like the people that should have raised their hand first, I feel like always waited out.
Sure. We're going to table this. We're going to do a little research for the pod, and then we're going to come back, because now you got me all interested.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about the curtain, about airline life, and I enjoyed these stories this week. We have so many more in store for you, but as always, continue to submit the stories. We love you guys. We love your stories, and we do have some more advice section ones that we'll bring back probably starting next episode. I really love the advice section. So remember, if you just want to ask us a question about anything, we probably won't know the answer, but we'll give you one.
Oh, we are. Unsolicited advice.
Okay, well now I must leave and go to work. And with that, have a wonderful Wednesday, and we will see you guys next week.
See you, doughheads. Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.